Welcome to another Hobby Ramble.
Hey everybody, we're back.
We're back. We're in a different place. Look at us.
Wow.
Oh, we need to adjust this.
Huh?
Oh, we need to go.
Slight adjustment. I can also probably move in, hanging off the side. We're in a new place.
Yeah, everything is new. We had to reset up the whole studio.
Addie's house is about to float away.
Yeah, it's a houseboat now.
Houseboat.
We just finished all the work. The contractors finished all the work doing the waterproofing stuff in the basement and in the garage, but everything is still a mess.
So, Matt showed up super early and just scrambled, and then we got everything moved over here in like 10 minutes. And I just sat here and, chit-chatted with everybody. And it was lovely. How's everybody else doing today? I don't see anybody yet, but I do believe that you're there, maybe. Let's see. It is always weird, too, when we have these off days, which are not our normal days. But then it's weird to me that everybody's like, oh, we plan on being around for your stream on Mondays. Yeah, see? There's Mr. Carvili. Consistent as always, cranking through Legionaries.
Matt, what are you working on today?
I am getting ready to paint up these little white plasma axes. I always do them with like a molten blade effect, which I'm going to be working on today. And we're starting off white, and we're just working all our way up, kind of getting loose with it, and turns out pretty nice. I actually think it's a pretty effective thing, especially with all the green and dark colors going on with my scheme to have that. Yeah. Oh, and you, Addie?
I have the limited edition vampire.
Ooh, limited edition.
That came out. It was like the anniversary, like
it's one of those.
One of those, and she's super cool because she's like, I don't know if you could see because she's just prime black, but she's holding a little baby dragon. So I just thought this model was so cool, so I bought it, and then I was like, maybe I'll build a whole Soulblight army around this one model.
Well, yeah, I know that you've been making progress on your Soulblight because you were doing that last week while I was streaming.
Yeah, so I got through. Those skeletons are almost all done.
Nice.
And I'm waiting for this new box to come in. I got the holiday box.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say the Flesh Eater Quartz? That's not what you're doing.
No, I got the holiday box. It should come in this week, which is pretty good timing that I can start working on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that has... So the cool thing is, like, it has basically all the models I want. I want one more thing, and I don't know what it is. Like, either another, like... Because it has the Vingorian Lord, which is like the big vampire. So I want either that. So I'm getting that, and then I want either another centerpiece kind of thing, like Neferata or Manfred, or like someone big. And then that's the whole army. Until I feel the need to get more for it, like, it'll get me to 2,000 points with a little bit of flexibility.
I've never hit that point. I dream about it some nights where you're actually like, oh, well, I've got a whole army, but I do kind of want to paint this new model for my army. And then you paint it, and then you can just use that instead of something. I don't know what that feels like. I've only ever just hit 2,000 points ago. Great. I'm tired of painting this. I'm going to paint something else now.
Yeah, so I just imagine that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your tower at that point. Hey, Nick.
Yeah, my tower are at that point. But I also, like, have so many models that just need to get painted. So I actually don't have to buy anything. I just have to, like, go to the house store where
I do like having a house store. I've kind of got that from my Votan right now, where it's like, well, what do I want to paint? Well, I have definitely for my Sylvaneth. Holy cow, I've got so many Sylvaneth models just sitting on just a shelf at my studio, and it's a whole thing. Look at us.
Look at that. We're gonna put our faces
Vertical, baby. We got picture in picture. My dad always loved having picture in picture on his TVs.
Yeah, it's nice.
So my parents are jocks. I come from a family of jocks. So we'd have 2 sports games on. And like if one was a more boring sport to watch, he'd put that in the picture in picture and see if something happened and then flip to it. Tao and Votan can wait. Oh yeah, Rory. I'm sure you've got a house store. You get excited about something competitively, and then all of a sudden you've just got an army of it. And I don't know how you do it. It's kind of magical.
Yeah, I mean, I see your list of like, oh no, I have to paint, these 47 models by Saturday for a tournament, and then they're done.
It's intimidating. I don't know how you crank through it like that. I just want like a teaspoon of your magic is all I'm saying. I'm sure you have the magic. So if you can see what I'm doing here, I don't know if you really can because we got the...
Let's go.
Close up, baby. Let's do it. There we go. So right now I started all of these with white. And then I'm kind of moving in with... We can call it a glaze of yellow. It's just really, really thin yellow paint that I'm working over at the highest points here. And then I'll go back in with a darker color of yellow soon. That's why I painted it white, is because you want to get like really, really hot feeling stuff near the source of where all of this is coming out. And then it's basically, we just follow that process with orange and then with red. And we start mixing a little bit of black in with the red as it gets right towards the cool edge. And just like little dibby dabbies of black towards the end, and you're done. It is a fast and effective way to paint weapons, which I feel like when you're looking at a lot of like power swords and stuff like that, or it's just like, I don't know how anybody has the patience to do these perfect, creamy, like non-metallic but not non-metallic gradients on swords. The only way I ever did that was with my airbrush for my Grey Knights, because I just can't be bothered to do all the glazing that comes with that.
I did it a little bit for some of my heresy stuff, and I just started painting all of my swords gold because it just kind of makes sense for 1,000 cents, and it does look really good when it's just like this big chunky gold piece next to the red.
Yeah, really any excuse to have the gold next to your red is nice. Hey, Mr. Avocado. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, bud? Feel like you got sick and I just haven't seen you because I haven't been playing a whole lot of games recently. I've been busy with life stuff. That's all right. Let's see. I haven't talked to you since the grand narrative.
I know.
Give me the tea. Spill it.
So
What's up?
It was really fun. I had a great time. I went to the event. So and I said this before I left the house. I was like, I'm not going to play Warhammer. I'm going to go.
I'm not here to make friends.
I'm here to go play with my friends.
Oh, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah. And there's going to be some Warhammer there, which is great because I like playing Warhammer. But that wasn't the main, like the main attraction for me. Is just like having a friend vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great for that. Also, the event overall was really, really cool. Just having the whole production and a whole story going that tied into the games and thematic rooms. There were issues, but I feel like a lot of the issues, if you're on the Discord and you've heard us talk about it, they're kind of an artifact of how good the event was.
Sure.
Where it was so good that any little problem with it became really apparent. We're like, oh, you messed this up. And we noticed because everything else was perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear, especially after, like, I know so many people were so excited for that. And I like a good friend vacation where you're just all doing the same thing. Like, I know back when I worked for a company, like every year we would take a company trip to like a convention, and it was always so much fun to just like, yeah, we're doing work stuff, but really we're just bullshitting and drinking heavily with our work friends while kind of considering technology.
Well, technically doing work.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I had a bunch of really fun games. I would say that 4 out of 6 games were like A plus. Someone I would like call up for a game if they were here.
Oh, that's a high compliment.
Really, really good. So that was really fun.
No sweat lords, just like really gunning for you.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that. I think there's in our group. I think there's only one person who ended up playing a game that someone brought just a competitive list to a narrative.
I think I was talking with you a little bit of this off the stream. Like, I feel like I might get in trouble at some of these events because if I were building a list, like I don't have a whole lot of models. I feel like I would just bring what I have, and if what I had happened to be competitive, that's where I would get into trouble with it. It's not like building a fluffy list wouldn't be something that I would have in mind. It's just like, oh, well, I need to bring what I've got because I would like to go to the party, please.
Yeah, and I think that for basically all of my games, I came in and said like, hey, I'm here to have a good time. Like I'm not gonna play competitively. We don't have to worry too much about everything. Like let's just play it to have fun. And that was a great way to start every game.
Sure.
Because that way, like we set expectations, everyone was on the same page, and then we just rolled dice and like had good laughs.
It reminds me of how Dustin and Stefan always say they start their company meetings for Waystone. They always start it by going, all right, we have a store where people play games with plastic army men. We're all going to die eventually, and none of this really matters. Let's talk business. Sometimes it's just nice to keep that stuff in perspective.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was really fun. I would definitely consider going again. I didn't love the venue. Like it was fine, but it was just like the Hyatt Regency is just like a hotel with an event space. There was other conferences happening.
Yeah.
I mean, we did get really lucky that one of our friends got a free upgrade for their room and got the presidential suite.
Wow.
So it gave us a nice room to hang out in. But there wasn't a lot of other options.
Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And that's different from where they were last year. Correct?
Yeah. Last year was like outside of Albuquerque.
I was going to say it was out in the desert somewhere. I remember seeing pictures of the sort of beautiful nothing that is that is the desert.
And I don't think like there's no one else someone who was there. If there's anyone that was there in chat, you can chime in here. But I don't think there's any other event there, or there was no other event in the like event space.
Sure, last year
where this was happening. So
I do feel like it would be a little weird trying to have your narrative silliness go on while somebody's trying to like sell a copier next in the room next door. That's just it does seem like a little bit of a weird vibe. So how does it work? Do they like set you up by different large like great factions if we were talking Age of Sigmar and whatnot?
Yeah, so you picked a pact.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably one of my biggest complaints is that they said, oh, pacts aren't related to your faction. It's not Imperium, Chaos, Xenos.
Sure. Kind of.
Except they said, okay, there's Pact of Enlightenment, there's Pact of Annihilation, and Pact of Resistance. Pact of Enlightenment is going to be mostly Imperium. So they said, oh no, it's not your faction, and then in the next breath, we're like, oh, but this is the faction you should go in.
I do feel like I want it to be my faction if I'm doing the thing. I guess it gets complicated for things like Xenos, where it's like My Votan and the Eldar don't really get along. And like the Votan probably get along just fine with the Imperium most of the time, except for when they don't.
Yeah. And there was I think that LVO narrative is doing a better job at it, where they give you the faction like the faction description of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you can read and say like, well, that kind of sounds like the Imperium, but they don't explicitly say if you're Imperium you should go here. So it's a lot easier to build your narrative around another faction as well.
Sure. I'm trying to find the lost scrolls of what's its fuck, you know?
Or I mean, you can also say like annihilation, like, well, I'm the Imperium and I think this world is corrupted.
Sure.
So I need to annihilate it.
It calls out for annihilation.
Yeah. Versus chaos, I want to annihilate it for a different reason. So it's nice that LVO is having a little bit more flexibility with that, and it's a little less prescriptive.
What is for LVO?
Yeah, LVO is less prescriptive. It's kind of more open-ended.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm going to LVO, but if I go to LVO, I'm probably not playing any games.
Fair. Seems like a big trip to not play games in, though.
I don't know. It's only like $150 round trip for a plane ticket.
I guess, but then it just feels like a trip where you're like, okay, well, I guess it is fine for like a friend vacation, but there is an aspect of like, well, I'm going to Vegas, but I'm not going to Vegas to go to Vegas. I'm going there for a convention, but I'm not actually going there for the convention.
No, we're actually talking about going there and climbing instead. Just going outside of Vegas and going that same weekend, so we can spend half a day.
Sure. Okay, fine. Go and say something that makes a lot of sense. All right.
Titan's Avocado says, right, there was a teacher conference happening. There was a gala, and there was some like model UN thing happening as well. So there's like a bunch of high schoolers walking around too,
while you're in your robe and wizard hat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are gonna start glazing in orange over here as things start getting a little darker on my things. It is going to be a little weird. I'm used to doing this on swords where I'm like starting at the base and working up, and this is going to have a lot less area to work over.
Yeah.
You gonna show your cool vampire?
Yeah, so I did this really clever thing where I left my model off the base. So I can paint the inside of the robe.
I've never heard of that.
I usually don't do it because I'm just too lazy.
I can't be fucked.
Yeah. I just can't be bothered to leave the model off the base.
Yeah,
but for characters, like I'm a little more inclined to do it.
I need to have a plan. If I have a plan, I can do it.
So I'm just waiting for this to dry. This is the same purple I had issues with last week. It is working fine-ish. So I'm going over black, so it does cover a little bit better, but I can't figure out if like I have a bad pot of it or something, but like no one else that I have talked to or have heard who's using this has had the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a very nice color, so I'm hesitant to just get rid of it altogether. I did find a pretty good alternative, but I need to. It's an AK paint, and there's not many places that carry AK paints around here anymore.
What are you looking for? Amethyst blue,
amethyst purple, amethyst blue.
Amethyst blue. I've got that.
You've got that. Oh, look, I found it. All I had to do was ask.
Hookup. With my catalog knowledge of what paints I own. I've definitely got that. I've used it recently.
Because that does look, I mean, in the pictures, it looks like the same kind of color.
I would say it is. It might be a little bit more towards blue, but
that's fine because I can just go over the whole thing with Druchii Violet.
Sure.
To just make it a little bit more purple. The whole thing is that I don't actually rely on this color reading as the final color. It just gives me the darkest shadows, and then it makes the purple a little more blue overall.
Well, cool. I'm glad I can be the hookup every once in a while.
But yeah, I was going to say that one of the reasons that there are fewer AK interactive stores around here is because one of our local shops, well, more local to me, closed this month.
No.
Yeah, Game Castle in Kent closed.
Well, what a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a tough business.
Yeah, I had that feeling because I went there basically since they opened, and like every time I went there, there's a little less stuff on the shelf.
Oh no!
It was that
the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever really managed to take off.
It's tough.
I also think that being in Kent is tough. You know, like
it's like a little bit too far away from the city proper.
Yeah,
it's a little bit.
And there is another shop there. I mean, there was Wizard's Keep. They used to be in Renton. They moved to Kent.
Oh.
And they had a much bigger community.
Yeah. I've heard of them. I haven't heard of.
Yeah. Game Castle is a California. I'm pretty sure they're California based. They're a franchise chain.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd ever sign up to have a franchise hobby store.
It's interesting because they get access to a much bigger catalog of things.
Sure, that makes some sense.
But it's such a hard business. I mean,
it's such a hard business.
In-person retail, and then and then in-person retail with like a very niche audience.
In-person retail with a niche audience that you kind of have to provide floor space for.
Yeah.
If you want to have your community so that you can have people like it's community organizing too, because like good luck having a game store if you're not running Magic the Gathering Fridays or Friday Night Magic or other stuff. Like good luck.
Yeah, I always think about it, I'm like, well, what would it be to open? Like, what would it take to open a hobby shop? And it's not less of a game store and more of a hobby shop where it's just like, okay, we have all the paints, we have all the, like, you can get Kolinsky brushes, you can get airbrushes, you can talk to someone about different techniques.
The clientele is so small at that point. Right. Like you need to be the people doing that, and you have to be a mostly online shop. Like you need to have mostly e-commerce almost behind that, I would think.
Yeah.
Because I would love to go shopping online at one store that had all of the paint brands all available, and I could buy models there, and I would shop there online.
Notes to Waystone.
Yeah, poor Waystone. I would never ask those poor guys to step heavily into the retail space. That's so much work.
Yeah. But you just get robots to do it, and then they send you Dante, a month before he's supposed to be announced.
Well, I think that's just it too, is like I'm just listening to how much work they have to do to work with G-Dub.
Yeah.
Is like they have to manage their manager so much.
Yeah, and it's the same. I know that Vallejo, like they do like a really weird restocking.
Well, they want you to like have everything, like get a whole thing when you order from them, right?
You get the whole rack. You have to like buy the rack that you're gonna have.
Sure.
And they have different size racks, but then you only restock once a quarter. So a lot of times things sell out, and then you just have a half empty rack that you can't restock yet. And then they want you to fully restock the rack every time.
That's so much to ask of a company. Like even, I heard the story of them trying to get Duncan paints. And in order to get Two Thin Coats line and get it from the... Oh, I forget what the name of the distributor is.
Yeah.
The distributor they need to have all these. They need to be carrying a bunch of board games because that's what the distributor distributes.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't do that. It's just hard. But I also understand it on the distribution end and the paint end, because like, how do you do all of that without, for the same reason that the hobby shops are having troubles, the paint brands are having troubles, you know, they need to make sure it's worth sending all that in.
Yeah.
So I am glazing in the orange here to just kind of keep darkening towards the edge. I kind of like having mine be a little bit darker, so, but I still am trying to keep this thin line of white and yellow towards the edge. Now that this is kind of glazed to the texture that I want, I'm going to get a thicker mix of this. I think it's AK Deep Orange. For the AK range, the deep colors tend to be really saturated, really well covering paints. So like this is some of the best orange I've ever used.
That's good to know.
If you're looking for hot tips.
I think that's why everyone comes. For the hot tips.
Hot tips. Mascot hot tips. And now as I'm kind of doing this deeper section of the orange, I'm going to try and like do a couple islands. I think of them as islands when I'm talking deeper into the blade. Because I want to have spots where like you can just see a little bit of the lighter color and kind of have the rest be a little bit more separated out. So it's a more gradual and like uneven distribution of things. Oh yeah, you gotta.
And the 10K minimum orders.
Yeah, I think our crew of nerds would struggle to have that much.
I will say, if you are looking for Tooth and Coast in the Seattle area, Meeples has a rack.
Oh, do they now?
Yeah.
I'll have to swing by. It's very close to my home. Not to dox myself, but
And
it's walking distance.
I think that Wizards Keep in Kent got a rack.
I know I think Over the Brick does. Ooh, that might. I know they've got Vallejo and Scale 75.
They have a lot of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a rack.
But I know they also have a smaller space, so they might not be able to carry that many game boards or board games.
Okay, we have Zulu's Nomad, Over the Brick. Yeah, Zulu's Nomad's and Over the Brick. I wonder if I don't think Mugu has them in Everett.
Man, I loved Nomad back when that was actually closer to where I lived. That was a good shop to swing by. They had so much stuff, and they got great deals. You'd pay for like a membership once a year for like $120, and it'd give you 30% off everything or some crazy.
Whoa.
Like 25, maybe it was 25% off everything in the store.
That's like.
But like, yeah. Good luck getting better prices on GW than that.
Yeah.
Granted, I kind of switch because it's nice to support my game club, and the discount's similar. But it was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, for just like once a year membership, like that's pretty.
Yeah, sweet. I made my money back. I think it's off of everything except for like Magic the Gathering, because that's how game stores make their money.
And was that like boosters or like onesie twosies cards? I don't know if there's a better name for them. I don't play Magic.
Any Magic, you the discount didn't apply to Magic.
Okay.
Which is understandable. You gotta make your money.
Yeah. Also, not a concern for me.
It's always hovering on the horizon for me. I just try not to get too into it.
Yeah, for me, so the reason that I've never really gotten into it is because it's from like it's missing uh, the really introverted part.
The playing when you're not playing
Yeah,
part that the
like that's what I love about
miniature hobby
Warhammer.
has.
Is they're like, oh, I can play by myself. I don't need to have anyone else. I can just paint models. And then there is the social part that goes with it.
I think the thing that I often bump up against when I'm looking at Magic stuff is like I have had more success with like uh casually playing 40K with people than casually playing Magic the Gathering. The having something that is like tuned to play casually is a very different thing depending on the crowd that you're playing with for Magic. And often it's really easy to play against somebody who like brings just a little too much heat,
Yeah.
and then your game's just done. Your games are just done. You're not going to win any that day, and it's tough. And not always the most fun. Still working up these orange glazes. But then we're going to get to red, and when we get to red, things really heat up.
And funnily, that's actually the coldest part of the axe.
Nah, the coolest part is going to be the black part, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close here to have this purple base coat done.
Gosh, I got it on both sides. Cool. I'm just going to bring a little bit more.
Yeah, and we'll go.
Oh, hey, I forgot to say it. Everybody, like and subscribe. If you're here and you haven't, please do. Especially because it's a weird day. I don't know. Maybe we got people who are normally like driving their very expensive cars on Monday. I don't know. Is that something people do?
Monday night drives.
Monday night drives.
I think that's on Sundays.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Sunday drivers.
Maybe. I feel like we every once in a while we'll be taking our dog for the walk down by Alki, and there'll be some sort of club with cool cars out
On Mondays?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to what day
Okay.
it is. I'm unemployed, Addie. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what day it is, and it's okay with me. Ugh. Hit this other side with some orange. It's kind of a little tappy. Little tappy touches. Same thing. Hit the edge with the orange. We're just working to cooler and cooler layers. Because that's how we do things. I still want this a little bit more thinned out than it is right now. Big thing that everybody forgets to mention when you're glazing stuff, they'll say, oh, make a glaze. Take the extra paint off so you're not just putting paint water down on your model. It really, that's the thing. That's the thing that broke me free when it came to glazing. Take the excess paint off. You don't want too much paint on.
Yeah.
You would just want it thin. You might feel like, oh, I'm wasting paint then. No, you're not. Well, I mean, you are, but like, who cares?
I mean,
the paint exists to do what you want it to do. And if it's not doing what you want it to do, then get rid of some of that paint.
we are just like putting paint on toy soldiers.
Is just pretend. We can do it. If you can afford to buy the minis, you can afford to lose a little bit of paint.
So here's, everybody tells you to paint from dark to light, right? It's easier to cover up mistakes on dark paints than it is on light paints.
Breaking the rule.
I think the other consideration, well, I mean, you're doing something different here.
Yeah,
But is painting inside out Like I have some purple stuff that is. I'll go into my camera so I can
Show yourself off.
So I'm trying to get like, so there's this fabric that
Mm-hmm.
that is draping down right here. And then I also need to paint the inside. So this side is actually pretty roomy, but this side, it's really tight to this black armor panel.
Yeah.
So actually going with the purple first means that I don't have to worry about bumping up against that black armor panel because I'm going to go over it with black later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually not going to get any highlights in there because that is very much in the recess.
Mm-hmm.
Again, benefit of not gluing my model down to a base is I can just really get in there, where a base would probably get in the way, especially because vampires 40 millimeter bases.
You told me that, and I was like, that is the wildest thing I've heard today.
Yeah.
That you have that much space for a base.
Yeah, so I think we're talking about it before the stream, but I think I am going to do a little diorama for my vampire, just because otherwise the base is going to be pretty boring.
And I mean, like, there's something to be said for having like a sparse base, but like, I only say that because I know some people like it. I love doing little mini dioramas. I have so much fun in my basing for everything. Ironically, except for I started with my Votan doing really simple bases where I just use like a pre-made product, put it down, put them on there. But then I started going, well, that's boring. What if I just put some rocks down? What if I just put some big, like, tall savanna tufts down? What if? And now my stuff is just out of control. Everything gets out of control for me.
On the Votan too?
On the Votan too, it's happening. I bought some rocks from Epic Basing. Epic Basing, if you want, like, I'm not going to say it's affordable, but like reasonably affordable 3D printed bits and bobs to just like up your basing game. Epic Basing's great.
Also, like, check out any like model train shop.
Sure.
There's a lot of great basing stuff. Cat litter, like that is
Not used.
not used.
Not
New
used.
clean cat litter.
Fresh.
Um,
Fresh from the litter teat.
they are. It is exactly the right size for 28-ish millimeter, like small rocks. They're like not.
Very small rocks.
Yeah, they're like rocks that are this big, like head sized.
I think that makes sense. I was looking at, where was I at? I was at the True Value the other day, and they have like little bits of glass and little stones that you would use to like fill up. I think I've seen people like fill up lamps with them, like lamp bases or stuff like that, or like
Yeah, like flower
decorative bowls. I don't know what people.
Yeah.
I don't know what people do. It's some white shit.
Yeah,
But those things, there's some really lovely little basing bits there for cheap, way cheaper than buying a lot of them.
decorative sand.
Decorative sand,
From,
love it.
Your local craft store. It's in the floral arrangement section. It's usually used to fill out, like, so you have like a vase.
Yeah, you need
and-
something there.
And you're gonna fill it up with rocks and then put something in it.
You don't want like ugly sand. You want it to be
Yeah.
decorative.
So I just use that, and then I prime it and paint it.
Yeah,
But it comes in different grits.
yeah.
So, and I make a mix.
That's what I was noticing.
So I make a mix of small and medium. So there's variety. But honestly, since I started getting big tubs of texture paste, I don't do that anymore because it's such a hassle. And if you get the big Vallejo or Liquitex tub of like sand texture, it's the same thing, but it has the glue built into it.
I was gonna say I like rocks for that purpose, like small pebbles, which at scale are closer to rocks, and I like those for those purposes. I haven't bought sand that is of a good scale yet. That is something I haven't been interested in.
Um, I hear that if you want to do like sand, like desert sand, um, baking like baking powder is actually the right scale
Sure.
because it is very very small.
I've been listening actually to a lot of people talking about this issue with their Adeptus Titanicus, or not Titanicus, what is it?
Yeah.
Imperialis.
Oh, Adeptus Titanicus is just the Titan version of Imperialis.
Yeah, because they're dealing with the issues of like, well, I have these Space Marines on a base, and I normally put grass tufts down on my bases. What do I put that is at scale for this?
You just paint it green.
I've seen people do all sorts of things. They've been using texture paste, like really fine texture paste. Yeah. I've been seeing people use who was it? Henry from
Cult of Paint.
Cult of Paint was using pigments, but in water or alcohol to set them instead of like dust. Yeah, you can play the Titans in Imperialis, which I think is cool.
And the airplanes too.
As I've been watching people paint the Imperialis stuff, I have been a little bit more interested in it. But like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's still a little bit too finicky. I do kind of want to have a game that I could paint on the sprue. That's its biggest draw to me.
Yeah, the thing that I would want to do for if I ever do Imperialis, it's to play either an army that is very very movement focused, where like actually having
more that's your White Scar. Except for we're definitely going to do White Scars for Heresy at some point.
Yeah, or like Blood Angels would be good, or doing like Iron Hands. So it's like all tanks. The whole army is just all tanks.
I do think that the tanks and the dreadnoughts look the coolest.
Yeah,
in those lists.
And then then you like you have this big tank army, and it like the whole thing is pretty cool because you can have, like a dozen tanks.
You can see that I am working in the red now for things, just trying to get to the cooler and cooler sections. Tycho just did a big huff. He's not impressed with what I'm doing.
It's a good thing you came early because he just tuckered himself out.
He did. He was so thrilled to see me. There's nothing quite as delightful as a dog who's happy to see you. That's always the best. That's the best part of having a dog. It's the best part of visiting other dogs that like you. It's like, oh man, I didn't know you were coming today. That's rad. Which I like that attitude. I endeavor to have that attitude. Yeah, I agree. I'm more in the camp of like, I've seen some people paint up some really cool White Scars, and I think I'm just gonna start having fun with those a little bit while I have some time to do some freehand stuff, or like if I have the energy to do something a little bit more focused with my painting rather than just cranking them all out. Otherwise, definitely working on these Votan.
Yeah. I've been super excited about AOS, so I'll probably just be working on vampires and skeletons
forever,
for a little bit.
I also promised the Monkey Man that I would finish my trees at some point.
We do have, we're supposed to get some monkeys from them to paint on stream.
Oh yeah, I've got to bother them. A monkey focus stream might be their Christmas present. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I was talking to them a few weeks ago about it, and it was just one of those because they're all organic shapes.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that is easy to bang out in an hour.
Oh, sure. You just kind of get excited about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of all it takes is to be like, oh, yeah, let's do that. And you just do.
Yeah, and I actually, I painted another... Oh, this paint is such a mess. Um, anyway, I painted some more models for Cthulhu, Death May Die, and they went so fast. The thing that actually took the longest is that I got ready to prime them, and I forgot that I needed to wash them because they're PVC. And sometimes PVC has a mold release agent.
They're made out of toilet pipes, people. You heard it here first.
Yep.
You heard it here first. The hard-hitting news here on Broken Brush.
But they came out great. I just painted the ghouls. I used 4 different paints for the whole thing.
Ain't bad.
Yeah, and it was blue from below. Is like a purple magenta from above. Dry brush with a very brownish neutralish green, and then like a flesh color on top, and that was it. And they look fine. They're, again, game pieces. They're not. It's not a war game. It's a table. It's a boxed game. Whatever you do to them is a huge upgrade over what you get in the box.
Sure. Yeah, because you're not even getting gray plastic. You're getting red plastic. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to hit these with a little bit more red glaze on this side, and we'll just dot a couple spots over here and do the other side. And then we get to the best part on these. I love when I get to the point where I am playing with the red and black mix, because it's where it starts looking like lava. At this point, it kind of looks a little like fiery, cool, yeah. But as soon as you start getting into cool colors again, you're just like, oh no, this might actually be lava. Real lava.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Oh no, don't touch that. It might be lava. I might need to use my baby brush when we get there though, because the tip on this is starting to go.
But you need a very sharp number 2. I have one in my hand.
I have one.
If you need to borrow it, I have another brush.
I have one in my little tub of brushes over there, but I do feel this one's starting to go.
This is only a few weeks old.
Yeah, you can tell the difference.
We can show it.
Here's the difference between a 2 which has been loved.
Yeah.
Get it. The 2 on the right, you can tell that it's been loved. It still comes to a good point, but not nearly as good as the 2 on the left.
Yeah, these brushes, I love the Rosemary and Co. brushes. The issue that I have with them sometimes is that they start out too sharp.
Yeah,
like you actually have to
blunt them.
Yeah, you have to paint with them for like 4 or 5 sessions before they lose their because they'll have. And it's not even like one hair that's longer. It's just that they get to such a point. Like you can't pick out a single hair that is too long.
Yeah.
It's just that all of them are too sharp at the end. So you just paint with it a bit, and then it loses that really sharp point. But then it's great. Mr. Carvilli, but you have, I think, at least 2 fully painted AOS armies.
What, Lumineth
and
Orcs?
No, Slaves to Darkness.
Slaves to Darkness. I didn't know you were so dark. Put a couple more blocks in here, little bips and blabs.
I should try to play another game of AOS before that box.
I've only played one, and it was fun, and for whatever reason I just haven't played it since. I think it's just because I'm like, okay, I see how this works now. I want to have a full army. I don't want to play at 1,000 points.
I was gonna say, if you want to play a game, I think there's probably tables open on Friday.
I think I'm gonna be busy, but
I only have 1,000 points.
Yeah, I was gonna say it actually might be an even fight for us.
Because I only played one game.
I only played one game. I won't know how to play.
Yeah,
that's more to the.
But we could see if Wes is around, and they can show us how to play. Because they were
referee.
Yeah, I mean they were an excellent teacher when we played our game.
Yeah. Definitely know what they're talking about, which is nice.
Okay.
Long boy Tyranids. Oh man, Mr. Avocado. Are you painting Xenos? Are you sure you don't want to do yet another Space Marine chapter? I think you painted what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 5 that I know of between Heresy and everything else. I think Tyranids are probably right for you to do.
Yeah, there was talk of doing a big team army.
Oh, that would be fun.
Where everyone is painting matching Tyranids for the grand narrative.
I do like that.
There's going to be Tyranids and Votan fighting, and then there's going to be a big team display board.
Well, darn, now you just make it sound like fun.
Yeah, it's just good old plain fun.
And then have, Alex was asking for Votan transfers, and I'm like, oh, bud, I've got so many because I just use mine as long as it's not the same sub-faction that I'm using, man, I've got them in spades. Let's see. So we've got this. I think these are sufficiently red. Now we bring in the secret sauce.
Ooh, we got to catch up on chat.
Oh, man. Chatty boys. So now, before I catch up on chat, the next step here is to take my red, put in some black, just make it look really cruddy and dark. That's the secret.
Yeah, we're just counting all of
all of the avocado
different chapters.
Chapters
and legions.
All right,
because Heresy is legions.
I am going to get really close to my model. I don't think my head is breaking the thing.
No, the camera is actually a lot more in front of us than it usually is. Yeah,
I'll take that. I actually think I need this to be a little bit more red. And then we'll go from there. Yeah. Now it's about starting to pick out the parts where I think these are going to be cooler. So I'm trying to find the spots where I have red down, but I can like gently touch a little bit of this. Also, a couple random spots where it isn't red before. Just little specks. And that really goes a long way to sell it. Then bigger blobs. Some places where it's not. And then a little bit inside of where it is. And we got a couple more little touches down here. One down here, one down here. And right there. And we keep kind of working along the edge otherwise, because that's going to be our coolest point. I'm going to stick a little bit away from the edge there, because you can see where the little piece comes down. I want to think that that's still hot. So that's kind of where we're going to sketch these out. The magic step that's going to come after all of this, when I put a little bit of black, after I put a little bit of black down, is we're going to take this red and black mixture and we're going to glaze over this whole thing, and it's going to kind of unify it all together.
That's one of the things I really like glazing for.
It's just good to like get a feeling across a larger section of a model.
Yeah.
Or to like work slow. I feel like sometimes there's so much focus on getting to the end quickly that there's something about glazing where you're like, oh, I'm sneaking up on done. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to take a few steps, but then I know that as soon as I hit done, I'll know that I'm there, which is maybe a little esoteric, but that's how I think about it sometimes.
I'm kind of doing the opposite now, where I want to see what this model is going to look like. So I'm getting into blocking in some flesh.
That's also true. Like, there's just sometimes you just need to know what the model looks like. This is a thing that sounds dumb before you've painted a bunch of models. But then you get there and you're like, yeah, this is what a model looks like.
Just get it. Because, like, right, you know, you look at the camera and, like, you can hardly see any of the colors I blocked in because they're all so dark. And, right, this model is going to be generally dark.
But I do feel like there are times where you're like, if I look at this on a camera and it can't see it, even though I know that it's a little bit more exaggerated, maybe if the camera can't see it, then other people can't see it.
Yeah. So, like, it's definitely, there's a lot more contrast that's going to happen in all this, but I just want to make sure that the blocking is working. And I do think that it is. Like, I think that having the black cowl thing, like collar, big collar thing, and the white, I mean, it's going to be almost a completely white face for the vampire with like some purple.
I think the only thing I might offer as unsolicited feedback is like maybe having something in between the points of the collar for a different color.
Yeah, so I was just going to keep it neutral. So it's going to, I mean, it is going to go all the way up to like a middle gray for the highlights.
Sure.
But yeah, I always hesitate to highlight black to a different color when it's not the primary color, right? Because I have purple as well, and that's really the focus.
Here, I'm just taking a little step of glazing, even though I said I was going to do that at the end. I think there's parts of this that need to just have a little bit of extra touch.
And you can see here is also another spot where like painting this light color before the black makes sense, because I really do need to get into a very tight spot in the armpit. It is vampire flesh in there.
Real, genuine vampire flesh.
This is one of the things to remember when using these like lighter flesh tones. They will always need 2 layers, and trying to put them on in one
at least 2 layers. Yeah,
will just be chalky.
Just take your time. It's gonna take as many layers as it takes, and if you're trying to rush it, then you're trying to rush it, and you know what happens when you rush things.
You finish faster.
Yeah, and nothing goes wrong. You can see kind of our little fiery blend going on there. We're going to hit it with black soon, but I kind of want to do the other ones. Oh, we're actually getting close on time.
Yeah,
maybe I'll just finish one. Maybe I'll just finish one. I'll do the other ones later. So I'm going to take some black out. I'm going to thin it down a little bit. We're getting a little close on time. So we're just going to lean in so I can really see what I'm doing. Touch it with black in a couple places. Again, trying to make a couple little islands. But really not cut too much into the really hot sections. Because there's so much surface area here. You kind of want to just have a little bit. You want to keep some of it hot in order to sort of sell this effect that this is a dangerous weapon of war.
And mining.
War and commerce.
Which I think...
Ruthless capitalism.
It's kind of... that's the whole thing, right? That's the shtick for For Votan.
That's what I like about them. I like that it's bleak in a way that, putting babies on spikes isn't bleak. Of just like, we will wipe out your whole planet's history, all the sentient species on there, because the price of coal has raised by X percentage. That's terrifying to me in a different sort of way. All right, so we got a little bit of black on both sides. I think I want to have the whole thing be a little warmer first. So I am going to glaze it with some orange. And we're going to try and glaze from the warm sections down into the cool sections. With this glaze of mine, which I'm wicking the extra bits out. I'm trying not to have too much on my brush, and you can see just how it's kind of giving a little bit more warmth and life to some of this pale yellow and orange that's going on. I'm going to actually try and get a little bit more yellow here into these corners. This is painting. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, what exactly it's going to do. Blow on it a little bit to make sure my glaze is dry.
How often do you use a hairdryer?
Never. Just because I don't have a good place to plug it in.
So the hesitant, I mean, I don't have a hairdryer to begin with, but my hesitance has always been when you're speeding up paint drying, you're not actually speeding up paint curing. And now you're messing with the curing process. I think for like texture paints, base stuff, it's probably fine. I mean, I do it all the time with the airbrush for priming. But then I also let the model sit for a long time afterwards. So
I think there's something to be said for the fact that like what was I gonna say? Acrylic doesn't cure fully for like 24 hours. Like, it is a slower process than we think it is just because it's dry. So like there is some aspect where I'm like, you know what? If it's good enough, it's good enough. There's dry enough to be workable, and then there's dry enough to do that. But like, I don't think I've ever been in a scenario where I'm like, I need to get to the next step so quick that I must apply, heat and air to this thing. Maybe when I'm waiting for varnish to dry enough so that I can like leave my studio at the end of the day. But like, that's also a process that you really don't want to rush.
Yeah, I've mostly had it with that. The only thing is like with base textures, where I just want them to dry so I can paint them, because I paint almost all my textures get a coat of paint now, because I haven't used any. The only GW textures I use that are colored are for my Tau, because I just use the same one for the whole army, and I haven't found a good alternative. And actually, my Soul Blight, I'd use the AK Dark Earth, which is just it's really great. And it's actually really cheap too. It's like $15 for the big tub.
Nice. Love that. I'm just wrapping up. I'm kind of just working glazes back and forth in here to kind of finish this up. If I think it needs to be a little bit warmer in a place, I add some orange. If I think it needs to be a little bit cooler in a space, I add some of the red and black mixture that I was working with. And that's kind of just how I finish these off. And eventually it kind of gets to this really more mature looking thing. I think I'm happiest with this side. This is the photographic side.
Ooh, nice.
It's just like,
I love this. It's just such a cool effect to do.
It's a really cool effect, and like I did it mostly across 3 of them in an hour. Like, yes, I know some people want to have 3 models done in an hour, but it's not that. It takes a little bit of effort, but it's the kind of effort that you put it down on a table and somebody picks it up and looks at it.
Yeah. I want to have 3 models done in an hour, and I don't know the last time I did that. Actually, I do. When I painted those Cthulhu models, they were basically an hour for 5.
Well, yeah, we did it on the stream, and you were like, "Holy cow! I finished it." Nice.
Yeah, and these were smaller. There's like little monsters and big monsters. So the little monsters, I mean, you can just blast through so quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna get a little bit more paint right there.
You're just gonna finish it. Can you get it?
Just this neck and chest bit, because it does
double pits to chesty.
Oh god, that's just smell my high school locker room now.
The post PE stank.
Well, I mean, it just smells like Axe, but too much Axe.
Yeah.
And then you grab a lighter and you light it on fire.
They were just so brilliant to be like, what if we just capitalize on the self-consciousness of teenagers and how they smell? That's our market right there. Kids, you smell fine. I mean, you might not, but like a little DO, you're gonna be fine. Same goes for our wargaming friends.
Yeah.
That said, Waystone's never been smelly that I've noticed.
Okay, I think I'm in a pretty good spot blocking stuff in.
I
see what the model's gonna look like. So I got basically I just got the basic colors in. It's all pretty dark still, and again, like I said, the model is going to stay fairly dark, although I do have much brighter purple, and the black is going to go up to a medium gray. But overall, like the feel for the whole army is a little bit darker, and it's because I'm also planning to do Tomb Kings, which are going to be a lot brighter.
Oh, that's fun though. Are you gonna proxy any back and forth? 'Cause that sounds like it'd be a fun thing to do.
Probably not, just because all the Tomb Kings are going to be on square bases. Yeah, for Old World. We'll do an episode soon where we look through all my old Warhammer. You can bring out that box and go through it on stream, and we can see what Old World stuff I have, because I do have a Tomb King and a Bretonnia army. I actually don't know what I have from my Tomb Kings anymore. I don't know what survived.
So all the Tomb Kings and Bretonnians have been announced now, right?
No, we only got 1 Tomb King or 2 Tomb King models so far. So it seems like all the Bretonnians are announced. Now we're just down to Tomb Kings, which are the new army that's getting released, and then we're waiting to hear which units get rules from other armies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, everyone. I think that's about it for us tonight on the old hobby ramble here at Broken Brush. And
it's good hanging out. We'll be back to a regular Monday next week.
Yeah.
The week after
Addie's leaving us
again. And then I'm leaving again. But we'll probably be back in the garage, back in the old studio, climbing the wall behind us. We're not climbing
the painting wall.
The painting wall. Climbing the painting wall. But keep hobbying, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one, everyone.